Okay, so where were we? Oh yes, leave Jeremy alone. So
You need a sheet behind you.
we've gone. There's like so many layers in all this because this has been bubbling up for a couple of years. Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's go back around to CS Spankle Run or Christine Sprankle. Okay, and her leaving and her basically saying the fault of it is Jeremy with UnsleevedMedia, MTG headquarters. So this has now come out and caused so much drama that basically it started a witch hunt against him. Mm-hmm. As of this Saturday, his 2 Twitter accounts have been shut down and locked down. Okay,
this is Unsleeved.
UnsleevedMedia.
UnsleevedMedia.
Also
By him or by Twitter?
By Twitter, because they were reported by the other side.
A massive amount of people were just reporting his account.
Yeah.
To no end.
Because CS Spankle Run has left because she says she's received unending harassment for the last year from UnsleevedMedia. And I don't necessarily see it per se. Okay. Even in like videos he's made or some of his tweets that he's made, because he's the other side of the coin. Okay, with what's been going on with the Magic community. And that's the thing is we need the other side of the coin with anything. Mm-hmm. Or else you don't have a conversation. You have an echo chamber.
A point does need a counterpoint, and it needs to be a counterpoint from a credibly thought out argument.
Yeah.
As it were. And we did watch a little bit of UnsleevedMedia's response to the mass amounts of harassment, as he calls it.
Yeah, there's things may develop. I may change my opinion slightly, here in the next week. But as of right now, you got even Tolarian Community College, which has like 250,000 subscribers. UnsleevedMedia has like 150,000. Mm-hmm. So these are 2 of the top ones. Where he's Tolarian said that this guy has been harassing. I can't stay silent about it anymore, but I haven't seen anything put out by Tolarian Community College yet. I think Christine Spankle has basically caused a witch hunt because Sprankle has caused this witch hunt against him, and this has become the I'm going to evoke other things here. This has become the Gamergate moment now of Magic.
Oh dear.
Okay, because she got in trouble for playing Flip It or Rip It, which is already controversial within the Magic community. Mm-hmm. And anybody that was harassing her on Twitter or Facebook or anything, you're a shithead. Just flat out.
Yeah, she didn't deserve that attention. She entered into this agreement. It's a game with rules, and she obeyed those rules. She abided by it, and it ended up destroying a somewhat valuable card.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a monumentally valuable card. She didn't pull it out of your personal collection. It wasn't something that you even had a chance of owning.
Yeah. So tough shit.
Yeah.
That card got ripped up.
The reaction that she got was unwarranted and probably severe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, but for all of this, laying the blame on UnsleevedMedia is also wrong. Mm-hmm. So for Christine Sprankle to do that, I do not necessarily approve of that either.
I don't know, but was UnsleevedMedia, were they actually going after her for stuff?
He made a video probably, let's say 2 or 3 months ago in regards to the whole cosplaying thing, especially with her saying that, basically she had been sexually assaulted because of what some 14-year-old kid had said about, getting a boner from looking at her cosplay. So,
I mean, like I said, we did identify cosplay has certain levels, and there is some cosplay that is designed to elicit that reaction, especially in 13-year-old boys who get stiff if a cool breeze blows by.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he lacked the social aptitude to really realize that was not appropriate.
From being somebody who does cosplay and does dress up for Halloween or whenever, It is quite often, and it's not just the kids. Adult men, you'll catch them right out staring. They don't hide it very well. They're just like, they checking out your ass.
Yeah.
And when you're in a skimpy costume or a tight costume, whatever, you're a female and you're going out in public, this is going to happen. You're giving people boners and fantasies and stuff. It's something that's going to happen.
Well, I think there comes a certain point in decision making where you wear that because it makes you look good.
Yeah, and you feel sexy.
Yeah, and I mean certain amounts of costume choices had to be done because of the way that they showed off the body, but even then, a lot of the costumes that she chose were not there to elicit that sort of response. Maybe it's because the characters they were designed around weren't actually that revealing or something like that. But she doesn't look like one of the people in the camp that would specifically go towards that sort of thing. So getting that reaction might be unwarranted. It might be the fact that this kid looks at a lot of cosplay stuff, and this was the first time he'd ever had access to a model.
Well, I didn't show some of the skimpier ones, which I think were up on her Facebook. But you got a full bodysuit one of Samus that I did show, but there's ones where they're...
The logical connection that I'm having problems making is how she felt it necessary to call out UnsleevedMedia specifically.
Yeah, and that's the uncalled thing also. There's no reason for that.
Yeah, I mean...
Unless they specifically caused a lot of backlash towards her because of it.
Yeah, and she says that there was harassment on Twitter, and unless I want to comb through her and his Twitter account and try to find any evidence of that or anything like that, unfortunately, this comes down to a he said, she said thing, where UnsleevedMedia is saying that he put up a contentious viewpoint months ago.
Yeah.
And that somehow coined enough harassment that she felt necessary to retire from cosplay. She felt it necessary to call him out specifically. I can't belittle that statement by saying that she did it out of any kind of malicious intent or anything like that.
I think there's probably more to it than just that. I just like to say, not that she's probably going to see this, but if you're enjoying your cosplay, if you're enjoying going out and doing what you do, keep doing it, and screw all these guys that want to run their mouths. You be you. You have fun doing what you want. If you're finding it, that you're not enjoying it so much anymore, maybe take a step back from that.
So Christine Sprinkle at the events, perfectly wonderful person. Like I said, we've ran into her cosplay at Grand Prix, So in public,
very sweet.
She's
very nice woman.
Yeah, perfectly fine. It's a shame that she's not going to be doing it. There is some, there are people in the Magic community that like the cosplays. There are those that don't. Jeremy's one of those. It's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care about the cosplays. I'm there to play a game. That's his opinion.
Yeah.
And that's really probably some of the most contentious stuff he said, besides her hyperbolicness of, assault from a Twitter post online. Because this whole thing, a lot of this stuff, drama has gone on with online. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. I don't think she should be. She basically started a witch hunt, whether intentionally or unintentionally, against Jeremy and UnsleevedMedia.
I want to stress she started it. She might have been the flashpoint that started this entire brush fire and everything like that. But I don't believe that she's in any way leading the charge against this guy.
It could be a whole community thing. There's a lot of conspiracy. There's a lot of unknowns right now with this. But this has been a problem we've been seeing in the Magic community for the last couple of years. This is why, it went from like 12 million reported in like 2013 up to 20 million in 2015. Now we're back down to 12 million. Okay? It's because...
Which is still a lot of people.
It is. Yeah. But there's been a lot of...
I wish we had 12 million subscribers.
Yeah.
I wish we had 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of missteps, whether it's been on Wizards of the Coast for product, for the message that they're sending out as a corporation, especially with, the buzzwords of inclusiveness and everything else. It's like the game was already inclusive, especially from boss banners in my experience at the, at events. It's not, because of sexism or misogyny or stuff like that, you're not getting, this diverseness out there, especially because we live in a majority state. Okay, that's not the issue. There are other issues such as nerd culture doesn't know how to bathe. Nerd culture does not know how to be socially adept. Okay,
They're geeks.
yeah.
They're not nerds.
I mean, social awkwardness is just it's one of the things that's becoming more and more prevalent because of social media and the fact that it takes a lot of the humanness out of interaction. There's a lot of things that I had to overcome with a lot of my dealings online, some very interpersonal dealings online, that kind of stem from being able to overcome that. You gain enough familiarity with one person one-on-one that you can overcome that barrier that is text.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of descriptiveness and role play and everything like that. If you don't do that, if it's just the text speak or the IM speak or just even an email, it's very impersonal, and it's very difficult to maintain a level of communication that speaks emotionally or portrays the proper context in a lot of the things that you're saying. So it's very easy to misinterpret, and it's very easy for somebody to take something which could be just an innocent enough comment and treat it as an attack, or treat it as something even, or completely the opposite, and it's some undying confession of affection. I've had people get way the wrong idea on both sides, and I had to spend a lot of time and effort making sure that I set the record straight. So proper communication is difficult online, and it's just as difficult in person, and there's this extra barrier of not being used to being one-on-one with somebody.
Well,
Yeah, and it's fun. It's harder to be like funny.
Yeah.
Or something, because you say something smart ass that your tone would totally get, your tone and your face would totally give away, but you say that smart ass thing and some people may not get that you're being a smart ass, and they're like, oh, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I am.
I've dug myself some graves before.
yeah. And
Yeah.
Jeremy with Unsleeved Media is snarky.
Yeah.
That's his whole thing. And there are plenty of snarky players that play Magic. Okay. And I don't like the fact that he's being wished on. I do not give blanket endorsement saying I like everything he says, but he is a voice that's needed in the community. By trying to force him out, and I think Wizards of the Coast has enabled this some, because they have given nods or given okays for some of this stuff, because they are bringing in some of these people to help represent the Magic product at events or in online events who have pushed this agenda of misogyny or cis white males, or the problem is sexism and things like this. So by promoting the people that have pushed these agendas, they in themselves have given a nod to enable what is happening right now to Unsleeved Media to go on. When there was a public outcry over the fact that he there was some bathroom controversy like a year ago where they were like, somebody made some tweet about well, what type of bathroom would a planeswalker use? And he made the smart ass remark, planeswalkers can piss into the Aether for all I care.
They use the bathroom at the convention center.
Yeah.
I've seen them.
I know. But this is the ridiculous of this. When ideologies and politics start taking things over, of course, you get a drop in player base. And it's hurting Magic.
Yeah, the trouble is now we have people taking sides on some sort of moral standpoint about a fucking trading card game. These are bits of cardboard, folks. I mean, you can assign whatever value you want to them, rarity, whatever. You can say that you learned a lot from the community, that it made you a person, or gave you some sort of reason in life. But in the end, it all comes down to this is ink on cardboard. Yeah. And unfortunately, the one thing that people kind of lost control with is that they think because they've bought these cards or they collect them or they spent some certain amount of their income on them, that they're in some way entitled to decide how this game is created or where it continues to drive itself in the future, or even how the company decides to comport itself. The fact that you bought these cards just means that you own the cards. You don't own a stake in the creative minds behind those cards. Just as much as you don't really own the artist that paints the pictures. You can commission them to do work for you, and then they'll do their best to satisfy you if they are commissioned artists. But you don't own the right to say that card's artwork is offensive or something like that. If you don't like it, don't play the card. Yeah. There are plenty of alternative artwork cards out there.
Yeah.
What I don't understand, you're saying that apparently that they're making gay planeswalkers, or having to put women or minorities or whatever. But the thing is, when you look at all the cards, there's already people of different race on these cards. There are already male and female on this card, and you could draw whatever conclusion you want. They never say that any of them are any kind of relationship. Any of them could be straight, they could be gay, they could be trans, they could be bi. You could draw that conclusion. They don't have to come right out and go, okay, look, we have to put a female here. Well, you have females on cards. We have to put a black man, or we have to put an Asian man or woman. Well, you know what? You have those already on the cards. One of the planeswalkers is Asian. Okay?
Thank you. But here's the thing with all this is that's how I felt before. And one of the things that kind of helped make me quit playing actively, I'm still a collector. Okay, but really it hasn't been since like Magic Origins that I bought. The thing here is they started to force, this. It seems like they try to force this agenda of, oh look, we're going to be representative. This legendary character that we just created is gay and has this great gay backstory and things like this. Or Nisa was retconned from being a xenophobic elf that hated all other races into a kinder, gentler, person.
It's kind of like a Republican running for
No,
office.
I'm not. I'm not kind and gentle.
They scrape all the skeletons out of the closet.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
The main the thing about it is, I don't believe that is the true line of reasoning for Wizards as far as making these decisions. The terms diversity and inclusiveness are great terms. I do promote the ideal of those in any shape or form if people are feeling that they're underrepresented or anything like that. Unfortunately, when a corporation designed to make money takes a line and like that and pushes it out there, diversity and inclusiveness might as well be 20% off. It's a buzzword. It's a sales term that's designed to resonate with the right demographic and draw people in so that they sell more cards.
Yeah,
and that's really what's kind of why it's kind of falling apart around them, is because they've done what they can in some misguided, ham-handed way to say that they're being diverse and inclusive, and it's backfiring on them to the point where they are losing massive amounts of regular, long-running players because they just want to play a game. They don't want to. Nobody wants to worry about the political or social or moral ramifications that come from a game that, when it initially launched, was labeled satanic.
Yes. Yeah, I was there for that controversy.
Some places still think that.
Some places, they do still do that.
And this is not the first Magic controversy. This is just the New Age version of it, because I remember back in the 90s, I was specifically kicked out of a coffee shop. I was playing Magic with a buddy. We were in a small town. We were on vacation, and we got a cop called to escort us out of the coffee shop because one of us was playing a black deck. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh Lord.
So this has not been the first time there's been controversy around this game.
Well, and even then, that controversy itself led to them changing certain artwork so that it wasn't as wholly biblically satanic. Like it didn't evoke biblical hell.
I don't think it
Christianity
really ever
kind of
did, and some people overreact. But even if you feel that way, just be like, I'm sorry, we'd prefer that you didn't play that game, not call a cop. Why do you need a cop to tell somebody to stop playing cards?
Yeah, and back in that day,
darn kids, who knows, they might have a knife.
Back in that day, something you don't see nowadays is, they actually had pentagrams on the black cards.
They did.
Especially for like demonic tutor and unholy strength.
There were pentagrams. It was a very Lucifer looking, like red skin, pointy nose, horns kind of character.
Yeah.
There was 666. Like I saw the original artwork for these things, and they changed that artwork. They removed the pentagrams. They got rid of the Lucifer character to avoid the backlash that comes from a game being banned by the Christians. If
you're playing a black deck, maybe you want to be evil.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah.
And even then, there were some cards in other colors of the Magic spectrum that implied things that were even worse than anything going on in the black. The black thing is just sort of a resurrection skeleton zombie kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing really like wholly imperatively evil there.
Well,
if you want truly evil, kind of things, play a blue deck.
Yeah, play a nope.
The nice one.
The nope deck. Yeah, that's the evil killer is blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And blue and white. Get blue and white. The ones that are supposed to be the nice ones.
Yeah.
No.
No, blue was never nice.
But on that, the nice ones. Look, the other side of the community needs to look at themselves. They're saying that one side is being harassing and toxic and blah. I've seen actually more harassment and more toxicity out of probably the more liberal progressive side of the Magic community than I have seen out of the the older school, more conservative side. Sure, there's snark and everything, but if you're taking everything literal on its face and it is rustling your jimmies, then maybe you need to step back and you need to look at your own self-worth and confidence, because you shouldn't be getting rustled by that to the point where a person that is one of the top 5 YouTubers for Magic has been excommunicated from the community essentially for a year by Wizards, and you're calling to get his DCI number banned. You're calling the community has shut down his Twitter accounts and everything else like this. It's like you need to take a step back and look at yourselves, because you are no worse than what you're supposedly fighting against.
Better.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to do the whole liberal conservative side of things, but there certainly is a contingent of people who have been rather blatant in harassing Unsleeved Media, and I don't know if it's because they feel like they're turning his crimes back against him, or they're giving him a taste of his own medicine or anything like that. But really, that doesn't solve any problems for anybody.
I've seen this in every walk of you go on social, and it's any type of thing, religion, political, games, just anything. And if you say something that somebody doesn't slightly agree with, and maybe you're not even putting anybody down, but you just say, well, I think this, or I voted for this person, or whatever. These people will outright just tear you up to where even a very strong person is feeling like, I don't want to be on here, because they're telling people kill themselves and that they're morons and idiots and calling you all sorts of stuff over because you had a different opinion than them. But then these are the same people saying, you shouldn't be mean, you shouldn't bully people. What were you just doing?
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the end, it really is
funny, but
still goes by the
dog's looking at me funny.
It really goes down to the golden rule of do unto others.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is I'm probably part of that 40% that is left of the game. It's like, if that's what you wanted, good, you got it. Okay. But at the same point, it's because of a lot of this contention. Okay. It's because of the elite tryhards. It's because, competition's great, but our society has forgotten about sportsmanship, has forgotten about courtesy, okay, about shaking hands afterwards and being nice. I mean,
manners.
Yeah, manners. I mean, if there's toxicity, it's on both sides. So if you want to handle the toxicity on, the perceived toxicity, you also have to look at internally at your own perceived toxicity, because it's there. It is absolutely there. Okay,
that's what I love. That just reminds me of a really dumb statement, which is, it's dumb. I'm warning you ahead of time. But when you point a finger, there's 4 more pointing back at you.
Yeah.
Yes, it is true.
Yeah, that's really how it goes.
Speaking of fingers getting pointed,
oh jeez, I guess we have enough time to throw in
a different topic.
We do.
Yeah.
So data breaches.
Old data
What's
breaches.
new?
Yes, old ones.
Well, apparently not this then.
So the internet has still not figured out how to protect data, and apparently this is why I'm like, we might as well just go around with their social security numbers.
Stop making your password.
Actually, I had a interesting thing. I'm one of the few people who I use a very secure password. I know that it's one of those ones that's almost impossible to break, as far as common ideas for password security and everything like that. The thing is, I had used this password on absolutely everything.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, they say that's something you can do. If it's a strong enough password, you can use it for everything, and that way you just never forget your password. The thing is, you need to keep resetting that password. That's the rule I ignored. I didn't change this password until recently my Origin account, of all things, was logged in without my knowledge. And apparently they tried to change my password, which got me a notification, and I was able to resolve the situation. So this isn't anything about Origin or anything like that, but this is saying the thing about it is password security is about having a very strong password, and you can use that as many places as you like, but you have to change it regularly. Now,
Imager,
maybe have 2 or 3. I typically do.
Yeah, I've got 2 or 3. I just use one primarily for all the stuff where I'm like, this is a throwaway. I'm not going to.
Yeah,
like
the
my
throwaways
Origin,
are different than my money accounts have the longer one.
so
like, oh no, somebody's got my Sims.
so fast. You said Imager.
Imager has recently reported, like today or 2 days ago, reported a breach that occurred in 2014.
3 years.
3 years. They were notified by a security expert that they had received some data that looks like it's Imager's login information. They were able to verify that data and verify that the data itself was breached and decrypted, and that 1.47 million users' accounts were compromised. Now, Imager, thankfully, is secure enough where the only thing they ask you for is an email address and a password. They don't ask you for any other personal information. That is not a commerce site, so there's no credit card information. They don't get your social security number. None of it. It's not as bad as Equifax, but it's still it's a major site.
Admin.
Yeah, it's a major site that got broken into, and they didn't even know they were broken into for years.
So all your private, dick pics have gotten out to the public, right?
No.
Only if you were emailing them, I think. You
Yeah.
have them saved.
The only thing that Imager can confirm is that it was email addresses and passwords. Whether accounts themselves were actually accessed is unknown. Whether pictures, and even then, Imager isn't really a host site for like private pictures, as it were. It's kind of a side site to Reddit. It was the image host. It is the image host that Reddit uses for everything. It's just that Imager has this other community to it, where people post up mostly memes and clips from Tumblr, and it's become a real.
Why would you even break into that?
It's a collection of email addresses.
Just to be like, hey, look what I did.
Yeah,
Well, maybe you want to spam everybody. I don't know.
Yeah.
it's much more of a minor thing, the Imager one, but it's just another one. Delayed response or people not knowing. 3 years is a long time.
How do you not know? And all of a sudden, 3 years later, hey,
Well,
that looks fishy.
It was long enough ago that Imager is actually, just out of routine, changed the encryption that they do on their password structure. So even if these people had continued access to that information, they probably wouldn't have been able to break newer accounts. Imager is contacting those people that they believe have been compromised. So if you are a member of Imager, keep an eye on your email and see if they give you any kind of official contact. And they are urging absolutely everybody that accesses the site to change their password.
Well, with all this, the other juicier one is Uber.
Yes.
Okay. So Uber revealed that it had covered up the data breach of 57 million users and drivers' accounts, okay, that they knew about for a year. So this 57 million is not a small number. This is more up in the lines of like OPM or Yahoo breaches or stuff like that.
Well, Yahoo was the biggest breach ever.
Yeah. Well, what makes the Uber one even worse is Uber revealed that it paid the hackers $100,000 to keep quiet about stealing the personal information of 57 million customers.
So
and
let's
drivers.
hack another place so we can make more money.
Yeah.
Uber, with their business decisions alone, I'm wondering if they've hired some people who were executives at Enron. And if you don't know what that is, do some research. But they just keep on making crappy business decision after crappy business decision in the name of what? Because they certainly aren't protecting any sort of shareholder or profit or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Uber on this is, the hackers had access to names, email addresses, phone numbers of millions of passengers, and about 600,000 drivers had their license plates. So, and then you have credit card information.
It says license numbers. That could be driver's license number.
Yeah, true. Yeah. License numbers too, license plates, and you have on top of this, you got credit card information there. That's.
And
probably, yeah.
Well, that's horrible, and understandably something that Uber should have been protecting against, like any other company. The major thing here that I have a problem with is that they paid off the hackers and sat on it.
Yeah.
Like you got to come forward with that kind of stuff.
You knew who the hacker was. Why didn't you get them arrested? You don't pay them.
Mm-hmm. It's like, what's a privacy policy for if we're not even going to know when that privacy policy has been violated beyond your control? That's just something that people have to accept and understand. Any kind of system is only secure if it is a closed system. And even then, the only way that it's secure is if you don't use it. Like, there is no such thing as a 100% secure structure.
I don't use Uber. That's why it's very secure for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know what I'm talking about. I
draw my
sales. In the end, if you put your email address out there anywhere, if you use the password out there anywhere, if you put your personal purchasing information, bank, social security number out there anywhere, and I'm talking like stuff that you need it for, like IRS's website, medical stuff, like, you know, if you put this out there online, assume that somewhere, somehow, somebody's going to have access to it that you don't want to have access to it.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean...
They'd be screwed if they just steal my information because they just end up with a lot of bills.
Yeah.
I just want to
Not like I have any money.
It's like, oh no, I'm in debt. You can take my bank information if you promise to pay some of that debt off.
Yeah. Put some money in there for me.
Yeah.
I think I'll take Lyft if I ever need one of those.
Yeah.
Just wait. We'll hear about them being hacked.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like there's not a bunch of cab companies around here anyway.
I mean, I think at this point, probably 99% of all people have been affected by some sort of data breach. Mm-hmm. I mean, the only way you've probably not been affected is if you've not been online. And that's probably some, hillbilly up in the Appalachian Mountains at this point.
Yeah, technically, if you haven't been online and you live in any kind of urban setting or even anywhere that online capability is possible, are you really unaffected? Because the not being able to use the internet almost seems just as bad as having your information compromised.
Well, the thing when Equifax?
Equifax, yeah.
Okay, there's two E ones. I was making sure I had the right one. When Equifax got hacked, pretty much that's everyone. Like anybody who's ever had any kind of account is got information on there. That would be the one to worry me because that does have all my personal information there.
Well, this is what made me angry about Equifax. Equifax has my information just solely because it's supposed to be one of the three major credit reporting agencies out there. They get that information directly from banks.
And they're supposed to keep you from being hacked.
Yeah, I had little to no say in the fact that Equifax got this information. I had little to no say in what Equifax decided to do with this information, and then they went and lost it. And now I have little to no say in whether or not I want Equifax to continue to process this information, or if I want to use them, if they do have to take culpability for that information being misused, in that my identity gets stolen, they won't be held accountable.
They actually have this thing that's supposed to help you keep your identity from getting stolen and your money safe and everything. They have this whole thing. Mm-hmm. And I literally, within a week of this coming out, I got an email about, do I want to pay them to do this for me? And I'm like, hell no.
Yeah. So why are we going to give you more money for the failure that is you taking our information by force and then losing it?
Well, I got some snake oil. I can sell that to you too. I mean, biggest scam in the world is the FICO score and banks and everything like that.
Yeah, like credit reporting. I understand credit is a very sticky business, and you do need it in order to succeed in this country. Yeah, you need it in order to buy a house. You need to have a good credit rating. The things that they're doing as far as credit rules are concerned are illogical. They make no sense whatever. You can actually suffer a negative to your credit score if you don't have 8 lines of credit or more. And in some cases, even 8 lines is not enough.
Yeah.
8 lines of credit?
It even has on there up to 20 lines. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, if I have 20 lines of credit, that's too many. I should get dinged for that, not raise my score because I have all these lines of credit.
Yeah.
I can't afford all these lines of credit.
Yeah, there's no way I could support 8 lines of credit. I mean, I'm not even employed. So, the fact that I was able to get a credit card from PayPal when I signed up for one was phenomenal to me. Because if they looked at me, it's like he's making 0 income whatsoever. He has this this minuscule amount of debt compared to so many other people in debt.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm dead in the water as far as credit ships are concerned. So the fact that anybody was willing to give me credit astonished me, but the fact that applying for that credit card brought him all out of the woodwork again. Now I've got Discover and Amex and like 6 different flavors of Visa. I'm surprised MasterCard isn't coming after me.
Oh, don't buy a house. I mean,
Everyone
wants you after you get a house.
Huge mess. But the thing about it is Equifax was breached. They notified us as soon as they had covered their asses. Yeah. Yahoo was breached. They notified us as soon as they had covered their asses. This is becoming a sort of a thing. Uber got breached, and not only did they have time to cover their asses, they had time to move all of their assets out of the country so that they could like sit on them. And I'm not saying this is what they did, but like they had more time to save their business than anything to do with their customers.
They tried to sweep that one underneath the rug.
They tried to make it like it never happened. And unfortunately, there's no way to acknowledge that unless you were able to physically remove the data from the hackers, which is impossible.
Well, I think on that, we should physically remove this show from, people's viewing pleasure so that way they can watch something else.
So, that was GACC Podcast.
You must watch us.
Yeah, watch us. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, upvote, rate, review. Go check us out on iTunes and Google Play. And hit us up in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys next week. And this was pointed out to me, and may be true, it may not be true. Typically, when 2 women get into a fight, the goal is death. Like
it's to embarrass the other.
So I corrected the statement.
You make
earlier.
the other look bad.
I corrected the statement earlier.